Welcome to Uping Stock Trend Prediction channel. So in this video, I'll talk about the prediction and analysis of the Tesla price for the next week, for the coming week. So today is May 14th, Saturday. So this is a Tesla weekly chart, and this is a Tesla daily chart. So that means for weekly chart, for example, this vertical bar is the actual real-time price for the Tesla price, and this kind of a blue trend line and yellow trend lines are the predicted trend lines predicted by the Uping algorithm. So in video number 73, I mentioned that week has a decreasing momentum, a decreasing trend. So last week, basically, it has a significant drop. So the minimum price dropped to this special dot, minimum price. But this trend, this band, fluctuation band is still as what was predicted. So for the it was dropped from basically has a maximum price of around 843 to this minimum price of 679. So that's basically a big drop during the last week. So many people probably are interested or are wondering if that's a good time to buy the Tesla because it's dropped such a low price. So many people are interested in what will happen the next week, for the coming week. So you see, for this is the prediction model, prediction trend. This is a weekly chart. So this predicted trend lines for the next week still have a strong decreasing momentum, decreasing trend. And even for the monthly chart, monthly prediction model, there's a special dot. This special dot actually was already shown last week, even before the last video was predicted. So this could also imply a strong decreasing momentum. So there's a additional decreasing trend even for this monthly chart and weekly chart. So next week could still be a decreasing momentum, and if you see this closing price last week was closed, it's still below this trend line. So this intersection between these trend lines, could still be a relative resistance because it will take some more time and difficult to break through this trend line, this point. But if it has increasing momentum to exceed this point, and if it can hold it and exceed that and hold it, and then have the increasing momentum, and then it will start to increase, have a temporary rebound. But since the general trend of next week is still have a decreasing momentum, so the fluctuation region next week is expected to around this fluctuation region is from around $839, between $839 and this point is around maybe like $656. So if it has a strong increasing momentum, it may increase to this $914, but that probability is low because next week could still have a decreasing momentum with some kind of a temporary rebound. And if you check this daily chart, the daily chart last Friday, the closing price is still below this trend line. So, and it tried to reach this yellow trend line, but it can't reach to this yellow trend line. And so next week, maybe like in early next week, it may still try to reach this yellow trend line. So the early next week, the fluctuation region is around this region, So between $786 and like $712, and it also could possibly even reaches down to $674, retested this low price. So I mean, depends. It may have a little bit more increasing momentum, exceeded this yellow trend line, but it will depends. And if it has strong increasing momentum, it may start to first touch this, go to this region, yellow trend line region. But that type of increasing trend is expected to be relatively temporary. So there's a low possibility, or it still has a possibility to even reach to this $851, but it depends. So very likely to still reaches to this $712. Most probability is just reaches to between this region, $712 and $786. See the final prediction model. So this model is based on the historic data. So that means I can predict, I can know the next week or next day's trend line, predicted maximum and minimum price, even though the next week has not started yet. So this is based on the historic data. So you can also see this kind of historic data. The prediction are relatively good. So sometimes when it reaches to this kind of a minimum price or maximum price, it also touches the trend line for the fluctuation band. So this is a Blash model. So this model include a little bit more real-time data in the early morning or in the early day or early week. So, but also included historic data. So since it included a little bit more real-time data compared with the prediction model, so this kind of a prediction are more accurate than prediction model, but this model doesn't have the predicted maximum and minimum value for the next week or next day, because that hasn't happened. So this model, you can see actual real-time data matches this trend lines for the corresponding fluctuation region, matches very well. So you see this kind of real-time data touches this yellow trend line or blue trend line, touches very well. And so this is a daily chart, and this is a Tesla monthly chart. So you can see this is also very matches very well. So you can see last Friday, last week, basically that's a Friday, last Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, and Monday. So you can see this from Monday to Thursday, it has a continuous drop for this kind of a decreasing trend, and on Thursday you can see this kind of trend lines started to bend, have a little bit more increasing momentum, and on it opened high and then changed and moved to the next band above this trend line, moved to this upper band. So it's a kind of a good indication that it has a potential to move to even to this upper band, to this yellow trend line band. So it has this kind of a good potential to have a temporary rebound or reaches to a higher band. This is still kind of a transition region, so it will transition from the decreasing trend, transition to a potential increasing trend. So it has a kind of a transition region. So in this kind of a transition region, it may have some kind of a more fluctuation or uncertainty. So it still may have some kind of a possibility to even decrease to this band. So you see, this is still a gap between this real-time data and this trend line. So it opened high, exceeded that, dropped to this, and more people just started to buy more. So it increased it to this yellow trend line, but if it it may not exceed it, or it may not break through this yellow trend line, so it may at least retouch this yellow trend line, may close this gap, and if it has a little bit more decreasing momentum, it may drop it to this band a little bit more temporarily. So this is a kind of fluctuation region. And even I have another model that is based on the key, some kind of a major effective resistance and effective support. So it's a kind of big picture for the, is a kind of a trade map or star map for the major trend line, major resistance and support. And so this kind of a red dot is a resistance, effective resistance, so it may take more time and the difficulty to break through this red dot. So it's kind of it will fluctuate, struggle there a little bit more, have more difficulty to break through that. So you see this is a daily chart, Tesla daily chart, and they change it to a weekly chart. So for the last week, weekly chart, it started here and it dropped here and it dropped to this blue dot is a kind of support at that time. So even though it dropped a little bit below that, but generally it was supported and holded, and then it started to have a rebound to increase to this. So when it was closed on Friday, it's still closed below this red dot. You see this red dot is still, it will take a little more difficulty to try to break it. So if it can't break through this red dot, and then it will start to decrease again. So this, even for this daily chart, and you can see this is the last Monday to last Thursday, and when it dropped to this, it's also dropped to close to this blue support, and then started to increase on Thursday and opened high on Friday, and then it just fluctuate in this region, try to break through this red dot at $785, but it's a little bit, it was a little bit difficult to break through this, so it was just fluctuated in this region, and it closed at this. So early next week is still trying to test this point and try to see if it can break through this. If it can break through this, then it will move to this band. But if it can't break through this, it will still may drop and then retest this band. So this kind of effective resistance is also close to that model predicted by the prediction model or another Blash model. So you see this is around $785, and in the prediction model, $785 is around this yellow trend line. This is $786 yellow trend line. So that's the prediction for early next week. So it's a kind of a major resistance. So you can watch pay more close attention to this kind of a point and try to see if it can break through this point or it can't sustain, and then it may have a decreasing momentum if it can't exceed it. So if you are interested in this kind of analysis and prediction, you are welcome to subscribe Uping Stock Trend Prediction channel or watch more video in YouTube.